Hi everyone, Katarina here. Thank you so much for watching my video today. I'm going to make a really special wedding card today. For this card, I'm going to be using a lot of my supplies from Chloe's Creative Cards. For the card base, I will be going with this die set, and this is the 8x8 Fancy Squares 2 die set. And I'm using the largest ones. So with the larger one, I've cut out 2 of the white and 1 of that blue from the pastel sorbet paper pad. This is the same size as the card base will be. With the next one down, I cut out this white glitter cardstock, and this will be layered on top. With the third one down, I've cut out just plain white cardstock, and I used the newest embossing folder from Chloe's Creative Cards, the Decadent Dots, and I embossed it, ran it through my die cutting machine. And finally, with the smallest one that I'm using today, I took the beautiful bouquets paper pad and I cut this very light blue out, and also a white heavyweight cardstock to go underneath, because these papers from the paper pads are not too heavyweight. So I like to layer them up on top of white heavyweight cardstock just to give them that lovely sturdiness. Exactly the same way I'm doing in here with the card base. So I'm gluing this blue piece of paper on top of the white cardstock, and this will be essentially my card base, or the front of my card base. I use my collard glue to do this. Once this dries, it will leave it nice and sturdy with no warping at all. So I'm making sure that I spread the glue out all over that cardstock, and I set it aside to dry for a minute. Until then, I'm going to come back and score down at 1.5 inches on one side of this other piece of white cardstock. Again, this one was cut out with the largest of the dies. And this 1.5 inch section will give me my hinge to attach my card front to. So I'm covering that bit with glue, making sure I'm not coming down below the score line with my glue. I'm making sure the glue is spread out properly. This is a collard glue. We'll leave it nice and sturdy, but I will have to give it a little time to dry. So I'm doing the same thing with that smallest piece, just layered it up on top of white cardstock so it has a little time to dry until I'm working on my next section. For this, I'm using the Lace Heart 5-piece die set from Chloe's Creative Cards again. And this die set is gorgeous. I really love this one. There are 4 outline dies in this one and 1 of that lacy one. So with the largest one with the scalloped edge, I cut out of white glitter cardstock. The next one down with a straight edge, just with that blue paper, the same one I used on my card base. The third one is a scalloped edge again. I used again the white glitter cardstock. And the last 2 together, so the last outline die and the lacy detail together, cuts out that lovely piece which I used white heavyweight cardstock for. And I also cut out that outline just of white heavyweight cardstock, but I covered that one in double-sided sticky sheet. So I'm going to roll back just the corner on the bottom, and I'm going to layer my lacy piece on top of this. So anything that is exposed between the lacy bits is now sticky. And this is what I'm going to cover with glitter. I am using a crystalline glitter from Chloe's Creative Cards. It's going to give it a lovely subtle shine and sparkle in there. Now, if you don't like to use glitter, you can just use some glue and layer the lacy detail on top of some white cardstock, and you can just skip the sticky sheet and the glitter altogether. So now in here, I'm deciding which way I want to layer these up with foam pads, which ones I'm going to go flat on top of each other. And eventually I decided that I will layer the 2 larger and the 2 smaller parts, just using double-sided tape and some collard glue. And then when I will be adding these on top of each other, I will use foam pads for some dimension. So for now, the 2 largest ones and the 2 smallest ones are just layered flat on top of each other. I used my red liner double-sided tape because I trust it the most, especially with white glitter cardstock. And now I'm going to share one of my newest addition to my stash, and this is the huge foam pad roll from Chloe's Creative Cards. Now you can see this box is huge. It's like 14 by 14 inches, and I knew, because I've seen pictures, that this is gonna be large, but even the video in here doesn't really show its true size. Just look at the size of my hand beside it. Like, this is massive. So I decided decided to try these out, and the ones that I went for are the 2mm ones, so there are 1500 foam squares on this one. I would expect this to last quite a while. However, you'll see that on my card today I'm going to use quite a few of these. Now, this is not normally with every card, obviously, that I make would I use this many of foam squares, but today I'm making a really layered, real special card, and I wanted to give it a proper dimension. So now, once the bases that we glued together earlier on dried, I'm going to put the card base together. So I layered the white glitter cardstock just flat on top of that blue. And now I'm gluing the smallest one on top of the embossed, the Decadent Dots one. Now I'm going to come in with some of those foam pads, and I'm going to add them at the back of this embossed one. And in here I have to admit, I got unreasonably excited to try out my newest foam pads in my stash. I always wondered, how is it that the back ends come off so easy on videos when Chloe does her cards? And there's quite a good solution to that. I don't know how I never thought of this. It's so genius. So I will bring them up to the camera. Now you can see how they have a little lip, so the foam pads are shorter than the backing itself, so it's so easy just to put your nails behind it and rip it back. Now obviously it's going to take me a little practice to go as fast as Chloe does with this. Even with sped up in here I don't go as fast, but I love these. I really do. I like foam pads, foam tapes, and good quality foam pads are definitely something that I like to use in my stash. More often than not, that I use the ones from the Works shop in the UK, which are fantastic, and I equally love these as well. So now the hearts will be going on top, and again I'm trying to decide where to add foam pads. Should I add 2 layers or just 1 layer of foam pads? And I decided to go flat just with the larger dies, because I will be adding lots of flowers and there'll be so much more dimension to this card yet. So I decided that 1 layer of these foam pads on the hearts is enough. And this is my card base coming together so nicely. I really love this. And now I'm going to show you how I made my flowers using the Flower Power stamp and die set. So with the dies, with all 3, I cut out some from vellum. Now I'm going to show you one of the largest ones. There's 2 different stamps in this set, and I'm going to use the ones that you saw on the left hand side there. So I'm going to show you just the largest flower in here. I have the other ones prepared. So on the vellum I dabbed my anti-static bag, and I'm going to stamp with my sticky ink, heat embossing sticky ink, just that stamp of the flower on top of the vellum. And then I'm going to heat emboss this, and the embossing powder I'm using today is the Diamond White embossing powder. It's such a gorgeous one. It's white but has that silvery diamondy shine to it. I think it could be one of my favorites to use when it comes to sparkly white embossing powders. And while I have everything sitting out, I'm going to prepare some of my foliage on heat resistant acetate, again my anti-static bag, and I'm using it quite a lot on both sides and on my glass mat and on my fingers, because on acetate this could just get quite messy. So from the Dazzling Foliage stamp set, I'm using that pearl chain sprig kind of foliage, which I've used so many times on my projects before, and I will keep using this. You can see how discolored it is. I think this features almost on all my floral projects. I just really love this dye. It's been my favorite a while, and I can't see me stopping using this one just yet. So I am tapping away all the excess, and it's stamped beautifully. So now I'm going to take my heat tool, and I'm going to heat set both the flower and the foliage. And I'm using this cork coaster. I saw it on the Wow embossing channel. Some of the girls have been saying that this helps with the warping because it reflects back the heat, so everything melts a lot quicker. And I've ordered some of these, and I've been using them ever since, anytime I remember using them. Once the foliage is heated, I'm just going to rub away all that excess powder of the anti-static bag with some microfiber cloth, and I'm going to bring in my scissors to fussy cut these out. They are very easy fussy cut. You can use your dies, coordinating dies, but because it's an acetate, it can get a bit fiddly to cut them out. Plus, I don't think it's even recommended. I do sometimes cut acetate, but I just find it very easy to fussy cut these with my scissors. On the flowers on the underside, not when I heat embossed, but on the underside of it, I'm using my True Blend markers, and this one is the Ice Blue blend from Spectrum Noir by Crafter's Companion. And I'm just adding the darker shade in the middle of the flower, then I'm blending it out with the medium shade and with the lightest shade towards the tips of those flowers. I'm not going right to the tip, just blending it all in just a little bit. It's going to add that lovely soft color once I turn it around the right side up. And I love using soft colors like this on wedding cards. Now I'm going to pinch these flowers just upwards a bit, just towards the middle of those flowers. So I'm not pinching the whole petal, just in the middle. It will give it that lovely dimension. And I already have 2 of these prepared. For the medium and the smaller size flowers, I only use 2 layers, but for this larger one, I'm going to use 3. I'm just going to use my hot glue gun to layer these on top of each other, adding a little bit of hot glue and offsetting the next layer. And I'm going to do exactly the same with the next one, bit of hot glue and offsetting it again. I love using hot glue because it holds instantly. I know a lot of you like using 3D gel glues and all that. I just don't get the hang of them, not yet anyway. I just stick with my hot glue for now. I think it works for me best. To create my foliage, I'm going to use the gorgeous swirly foliage die set, and I've cut a load of these out of vellum, and I'm going to add a little bit of a color using the bundled sage, distress oxiding, and just my finger dabber. Now you can see there's barely any green that you can see now, but it will come together so nicely when I'm putting this card together. As I mentioned, I love to use soft, subtle colors for these, and you will see how lovely it will all look together. So I'm trying to decide which way to arrange these flowers, and I decided to just follow the curve of the hearts, and adding 3 on the bottom left and the remaining 2 on the top right in there. And again, I'm just using my hot glue, and I'm making sure that I'm following the curve of those hearts. Once I'm done with the flowers, it's time to bring in the foliage, and first I'm going to add the bundled sage ones with vellum that I just added some color to. And I'm pinching the tops of these, and then there's a little leaves down lower on the stem that I can use as well. So I'm just filling out between those flowers. I'm just tucking them everywhere. I'm just going to let you watch it. It fills out this arrangement so nicely. And then I will be bringing in the other foliage that we heat embossed on acetate with, and it will definitely bring everything together so beautifully. So as you can see, I'm just adding all these foliage here and there. I did zoom in, but you can still see my head every now and again coming into the picture, because I just want to see where exactly I am gluing this. I really loved making this card. Let me know in the comments, do you ever make wedding cards, and what colors do you like to use? Sometimes I do use stronger colors, especially if I'm matching colors of invites, or I know that there's certain colors that they would like, or I'm requested to do certain colors. But if I'm to choose by myself, more often than not, I do pick nice soft colors and soft arrangements. I really love making this. This card would make a lovely anniversary card or an engagement card as well. Also, for some special birthdays, I think this would be lovely. You don't have to use a heart shape in the middle. You can really swap that out for anything. But I have made heart-shaped birthday cards before, and they are always lovely. Heart just gives something extra, doesn't it? And just apologies in here, I just noticed how I badly inked my fingers and my nails. I was working on a few projects at the same time, so I always have several things on the go, and sometimes inks just takes such a long time to rub off. So now I'm using these acetate foliage in here that I heat embossed with the diamond white embossing powder, and you can see I'm cutting them into 2s and 3s. There are 5 branches on these, and I like to cut them down to smaller. I find that I can fill out the spaces a lot better like that with them. And these definitely add something extra to these cards. I love what they do to these arrangements, just bring them to next level instantly. A lot of times I would add glitter on these as well, but because there was glitter in the embossing powder, I really didn't think it needed it at all. And because of the heart being all glitter in the background, although I can see that the camera is not picking it up at all, it's so frustrating because I would love to see this in its true beauty. I will add some close-ups at the very end, but I don't think even those show the true beauty of these cards. We've been having a very dull winter, and the days are still very dull looking, barely get any sunshine, and I do feel that it's much nicer to take pictures in when it's lovely and bright. But it is what it is. I'm just gonna have to go with it. I'll try my best to add some lovely close-ups at the very end. And here I'm adding some white pearls to my flowers, and then I will come back later and I will add some more to decorate this card. But first I want to add the sentiments. So these pearls are from eBay. I've had them for a long time and I love it because there are so many different sizes in those bags. And the large one is really large, although it really doesn't show on camera again, but it's really large in the middle of the largest flower. So for the sentiment, I brought out my wedding sentiment builder stamp and die set. Today I'm not going to be using the stamps. I will be using some of these dies, the Mr. and Mrs. And as you can see, they have that lovely thin writing and then the outline line to go with all of these. So I'm just going to arrange these in the middle of my heart, similar like I did on a previous card that I shared in a previous video before. And I'm going to cut out the Mr. and Mrs. From that same blue paper that I used on my card base. And I will cut out the outline dies just of white heavyweight cardstock. I will run these through my die cutting machine. I use some low-tack tape just to keep them nice in place. I don't want the dies to move off the cardstock when it's cutting. So they cut nice and crisp and layer up on top of each other beautifully. So you will see in a minute when I will add this onto the card just to see what way it looks. Kind of the blue gets lost with all those colors, so I decided to add it a little bit of something. You see how it is there, you can see it, but it kind of gets a bit lost. So I decided to heat emboss those. So I'm going to dab them into my embossing ink. And the embossing powder I'm going to use for these ones is the Clear Sparkle. It will add it a lovely bit of a dimension, also changes the color slightly. It will turn a bit darker and will have that lovely sparkle to it. So you will see how gorgeous these will turn out. So I'm just heat setting them all with my heat gun, again using my cork coaster, and I'm making sure I'm holding them in place with my weeding tool because these are very lightweight and they would get blown away all over the place. I know I'm trying to find them in my mess in my craft room. I would need to cut out a new one. That's no fun. So once heat embossed, I'm going to glue these on top of the white outline dies. So I'm going to dab it on a piece of acetate. I added my dry clear glue, and the pieces that I missed, I'm just pushing the acetate back underneath. I'm adding a bit of acrylic block just on top, just to add a little bit of weight to them to make sure they will layer them up and glue on top of each other nicely. And the same with the mister. And once this is done, I will add some foam pads again behind these. Now this is quite a fiddly job because they're so thin lines even with the outline in there. You can see how the Mr. and Mrs. sets out much better now. The writing is a little bit darker, so it looks so much nicer this way. Little details sometimes make a whole lot of a difference. So in here you will see me fight with my scissors trying to cut these as thin as I can, and I'm just adding them behind all these three little pieces, and I'm going to reinforce those with my dry clear glue as well. I'm adding the Mr. and then the Mrs. The and sign is just sitting there as a placeholder for now. I will glue that down as last. That way I can make sure that I get it nice and centered between the two writings in there. So now, and this is it, coming together so lovely. I do want to add some more pearls on this card, but the blue ones in here just looked odd. It just looked way off in color, both of the blues that I have from Chloe's Creative Cards. So I'm gonna go back to my little bags, and at the end I'm actually end up opening 3 of these bags, 3 different color combinations which have whites in them, because I don't have the middle sizes or the smallest sizes. I did cut that footage out because it took me forever to find the proper sizes, but this is it. I added them in 2 corners, the top left and the bottom right corner, and I think that finishes off the card so really beautifully. There's a lot of room to add the message at the back or on the inside of the card, and here are some close-up footage, this video, and then I'll add some photos as well. I also made a beautiful matching box to this card, so if you would like to see that tutorial, please be sure to check back to my channel in the near future. I will be uploading that very soon. If you haven't yet done so, please consider subscribing to my channel, hit the notification bell, leave me a comment, and hit the thumbs up if you liked what you see. I really hope to see you soon back for my next tutorial. Until then, bye!